The night was pitch black as Hiro made his way along the narrow mountain path. The only sounds were the crunch of gravel under his feet and the faint rustling of leaves in the breeze. He clutched his lantern tightly, its warm glow pushing back the darkness just enough for him to see a few steps ahead. Hiro had been walking for hours, determined to reach the next village before dawn. But now, as fatigue set in, doubt began to creep into his mind. Was he still on the right path? How much farther did he have to go? He paused to catch his breath, holding the lantern higher to survey his surroundings. Suddenly, he heard a sound that made him freeze, a soft whimper coming from the bushes beside the path. Heart pounding, Hiro turned toward the noise. "Hello?" he called out nervously. "Is someone there?" After a moment of silence, he heard it again, a quiet sob. Cautiously, Hiro stepped off the path and pushed aside some branches with his free hand. There, huddled at the base of a large tree, was a young boy. He couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old. The child looked up at Hiro with tear-filled eyes. "Please," he whispered, "I'm lost. Can you help me?" In that moment, Hiro forgot all about his own worries and fatigue. Without hesitation, he knelt down beside the boy. "Of course I'll help you," he said gently. "What's your name? How did you end up out here all alone?" "I'm Kenji," the boy replied, wiping his eyes. "I was gathering herbs with my grandmother earlier, but I wandered too far and couldn't find my way back. It got dark so fast." Hiro nodded sympathetically. "Don't worry, Kenji. We'll find your way home together. Here, can you stand?" He helped the boy to his feet, noticing how cold his small hand felt. "You must be freezing out here. Take my cloak, it will keep you warm." As Hiro draped his cloak around Kenji's shoulders, he was reminded of a passage he had once read in the writings of the great Buddhist teacher Nichiren Daishonin. "If you light a lantern for another, it will also brighten your own way." Those words rang true now more than ever. By stopping to help this lost child, Hiro realized he had gained a companion for his journey. No longer would he have to face the long night alone with his doubts and fears. Together, Hiro and Kenji made their way back to the path. "Do you remember which direction you came from?" Hiro asked. Kenji pointed uncertainly down the mountain. "I think that way. My village is in the valley." "Then that's the way we'll go," Hiro said with a reassuring smile. He held the lantern out in front of them, illuminating the path ahead. "Stay close to me, and we'll be there before you know it." As they walked, Hiro did his best to keep Kenji's spirits up. He told the boy funny stories and pointed out interesting plants and rock formations along the way. Soon, Kenji's tears had dried and he was even laughing at Hiro's jokes. "You know," Hiro said after a while, "your situation reminds me of a story I once heard about the Buddha. Would you like to hear it?" Kenji nodded eagerly, so Hiro began. "Long ago, when the Buddha was still just a prince named Siddhartha, he left his palace one day and saw an old man for the first time. He was shocked by the man's frail appearance and asked his charioteer what was wrong with him. The charioteer explained that everyone grows old eventually. Siddhartha was deeply troubled by this. He had never considered the reality of aging and death before. But instead of becoming depressed, he was inspired to seek a way to help all living beings overcome suffering. That's what led him to eventually become the Buddha and teach others how to find happiness." "Wow," Kenji said, his eyes wide with wonder. "So even the Buddha was confused sometimes?" Hiro chuckled. "That's right. Everyone faces challenges and feels lost at times. But those experiences can lead us to grow and help others. Just like how you getting lost tonight led me to meet you and have a new friend to walk with." As they continued down the mountain, Hiro found himself feeling more energized than he had all night. Helping Kenji had given him a sense of purpose, lifting his own spirits in the process. He thought of another teaching from Nichiren Daishonin. Teach others to the best of your ability, even if it is only a single sentence or phrase. By sharing stories and wisdom with Kenji, Hiro was not only comforting the boy but also reinforcing his own understanding and faith. It was a powerful reminder that our own happiness and the happiness of others are deeply interconnected. After walking for about an hour, they began to see lights twinkling in the distance. "Look!" Kenji cried excitedly. "That's my village." Sure enough, as they drew closer, they could make out the outlines of houses and hear the faint sounds of people and animals. Kenji's pace quickened, pulling Hiro along behind him. At the edge of the village, an old woman came hurrying toward them, calling out Kenji's name. "Grandmother!" The boy shouted joyfully, running into her arms. "Oh, Kenji! I've been so worried," she said, hugging him tightly. Then she looked up at Hiro with grateful tears in her eyes. "Thank you, kind sir, for bringing my grandson home safely." Hiro bowed respectfully. "It was my pleasure. Kenji was very brave, and I enjoyed his company on the journey." The old woman insisted that Hiro come to their home for a hot meal and a place to rest for the night. As they walked through the village, several other people came out to greet them, having heard about Kenji's disappearance. Soon, word spread about how Hiro had rescued the boy, and villagers were coming up to thank him and pat him on the back. Hiro felt a warmth spreading through his chest that had nothing to do with the bowl of soup Kenji's grandmother placed in front of him. By taking the time to help one lost child, he had touched the lives of an entire community. It brought to mind a passage from the Lotus Sutra. If someone with a joyful mind praises and extols the virtues of the Buddha even with a single phrase, then with various causes and conditions and analogies and phrases he broadly expounds and teaches for the sake of others. That night, as Hiro lay on a comfortable futon in Kenji's home, he reflected on how differently his journey had turned out from what he had expected. He had set out alone, focused only on reaching his destination. But by opening his heart to help another, he had gained so much more: friendship, gratitude, and a deeper understanding of the Buddhist teachings he held dear. The next morning, as Hiro prepared to continue his journey, the entire village turned out to see him off. Kenji's grandmother pressed a package of food into his hands, while others offered him new sandals, a warmer cloak, and other gifts to aid him on his way. Kenji himself presented Hiro with a small wooden figure he had carved. "It's a Buddha," the boy explained shyly. "To protect you on your travels and remind you of us." Hiro knelt down to Kenji's level and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you, Kenji. I will treasure it always. And remember, whenever you feel lost or afraid, you have a light inside you too. Let it shine for others, and you'll find your own way becomes brighter." As Hiro walked out of the village with a spring in his step, he thought of the words of the great Buddhist teacher Dogen: "To study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized by myriad things." By forgetting his own worries and fears to help Kenji, Hiro had opened himself up to the kindness and connection of an entire village. His simple act of compassion had rippled outward, touching many lives and coming back to enrich his own journey in ways he never could have imagined. The sun was rising over the mountains, painting the sky in brilliant shades of pink and gold. Hiro took a deep breath of the crisp morning air, feeling more alive and purposeful than ever before. He realized that his true destination wasn't a place on a map, but a state of mind and heart, one of openness, compassion, and interconnectedness with all beings. As he continued down the path, Hiro made a silent vow to himself. From that day forward, he would strive to be a light for others whenever possible. Whether through a kind word, a helping hand, or simply a warm smile, he would do his best to illuminate the way for those around him. For he now understood deep in his bones the truth of those wise words. If you light a lantern for another, it will also brighten your own way. Hiro's journey was far from over, but he no longer felt alone or uncertain. With each step, he carried with him the light of compassion and the warmth of human connection. And he knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, that inner light would guide him true. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "Winter always turns to spring." Hiro had experienced his own transformation, from the dark night of doubt and isolation to the bright dawn of purpose and community. By reaching out to help another lost soul, he had found his own way forward. And he knew that as long as he kept that light of compassion burning in his heart, sharing it freely with others, his path would remain illuminated no matter how dark the night.